see a spell, you're staring back at me.
How did you think he did for his second bout in the UFC?
He did good. I felt like he slowly opened up in the second and third round. You know, maybe a little bit slow in the first, but he soon opened up, and then he was soon on his feet and, you know, jabbing the guy, using his footwork and his distance very well. So again, another great second fight for the UFC for Ian, young prospect, the future, as he's called.
Yeah, he stopped it all.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't like when people say, I didn't finish him. Like, I don't know, unless you actually do fight, you can't really be saying that, because obviously the outcome is to try and finish people, but they're there to try and finish you as well. They're trained just like you. If you finish them, then obviously it's the bonus. It's even better. But yeah, don't get me wrong. Everyone tries to go and finish people. So like when people are like, oh, I didn't finish him, maybe he's not that good. That's, you know, you can't be saying that, man. That's some disrespect. That's the way I feel anyway.
No, I totally agree, because
not you, but when people say
no, I get what you mean.
You, Chris.
No, it's you. It's you.
Yeah.
I want to obviously we'll get to Gilbert Burns, because that fight's a very big highlight of UFC last night. But stick to Ian Garry at the moment. You know, obviously people are going to compare him to Conor, and that's because he's Irish. And you know, obviously that's the natural thing, and people will sort of progress to that. I don't see him like Conor McGregor. He's completely different to Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, two different styles. You know, again, it's just because he's Irish and Conor's Irish. You know, then it's nothing like him. You know what I mean? He's funny and a joker, but he's not like Conor at all. You know, I don't know Conor, but what I see on TV, it's nothing like him.
Well, I've met Conor a few times. Was nice originally in Cage Warriors, but as he built himself up in the UFC, I got the brush and got told to go away. But you know, it is what it is. That's what fame does to you, I guess.
I know.
We'll drop Ian Garry, because it was a fantastic win for him, and you know, long he can get up that ladder and keep going what he's doing. Let's get on to your other teammate, Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev, because a barn burner. A lot of people looked at that fight and thought, Khamzat Chimaev, and I thought myself as well, not discounting Gilbert, but I just thought, because seeing what Chimaev was like, but also didn't know what it was like in a longer ratio of a fight. Gilbert Burns was fantastic. He was very unlucky that, you know, he probably gassed out in the third round, and he put a lot of effort into the second round.
Yeah, he
clipped Chimaev, and he's put a lot of doubters into Chimaev now.
Of course.
Is he ready for Usman? Is he ready for Kobe Covington? I know a lot of people say about is he ready for middleweight? But let's forget is he and all that. Let's focus the fight with Gilbert had with Chimaev. Fantastic showing. You know, Gilbert will fight anybody, anywhere, anyway. Not in, you know, he's not bothered, and he brought it, and it was exciting. Yeah, he made more of a fan of myself watching him.
Yeah, I feel you. I say Gilbert doesn't care who you are, how big you are, how small you are. He'll fight you. And yeah, it was unlucky. You know, I actually had Gilbert winning. I felt he won the second round, and then, you know, he was very close third, but he ended very strong in the third round. So that's why I'd give it to him. You know, but yeah, anyway, he didn't get the win. He got the bonuses though, so I'm happy for him to get the bonuses. And he'll be back. And yeah, Chimaev showed people, you know, that he can hang in there with the tops. So I think he obviously proved, you know, he can hang in there. But yeah, we'll see how he holds up with his other obviously welterweights.
Interesting for him, but I'm a big fan of Gilbert. I like lived my life with jiu-jitsu. My love with MMA didn't start with, you know, traditional. Everyone goes for the punches and the kicks and the excitement of that. I love jiu-jitsu, and it was the chess match of jiu-jitsu, and watch everyone from Gracie's, from the ADCs, and you know, it's hard, obviously, you know yourself in the UK, to find anything other than mixed martial arts. So you have to legally stream these things to watch them. And I love the Eddie Bravo Invitationals just to watch these guys, because it intrigues me, jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Everything about it, it's not blood and thunder. It is a chess match. I move here, you move here. You know, you make a mistake, and I know it's a click, and I'm on it. And I loved about Gilbert Burns that, and you saw in a fight that, as much as Chimaev is a very, very talented wrestler, sambo sort of guy, he wasn't willing to really go to deep waters with Gilbert Burns.
No, he didn't at all. He didn't seem like he wanted to grapple at all with him. And I thought it might be a little bit of a grappling match, but it wasn't. And that shows you how good Gilbert is and how much respect, I guess, Chimaev had for Gilbert's ground game. I felt like if Gilbert would have took him down, maybe would have finished him, but it probably would have been a definite win for Gilbert if he was able to take him down. But again, it is what it is. Gilbert will be back. And if anything, he gained more fans in that fight than anything.
I think I totally agree with you. I think that really galvanizes Gilbert Burns, that he's just taken this hype train on and he's collision caused it. And he's got people now thinking different about Chimaev, which I don't think that people were going into this fight thinking that would be the case.
Probably, as he was such as Gilbert was such an underdog, obviously probably people thought, Chimaev would run through him, but that's not the case.
No.
You don't run through Gilbert. Don't happen.
I'm impressed with Gilbert. I think he's grown a lot, and I've seen him through 155 going up to 170.
Yeah,
I was just the only thing I worried about wasn't the skill set with Chimaev. I think it was just that Chimaev is naturally bigger than Gilbert. That was my worry, but he proved me completely wrong. I sat in my bedroom this morning because I didn't stay up for it. I'm too old for it with 3 kids now. You see, Lyndon. I can't stay up any longer. So I'm really impressed. I think, like I said, he's made more of a fan than I've ever been with Gilbert watching that.
Right.
But we'll side part now. We'll forget UFC because, that's UFC. Let's think about yourself going forward this Friday against Tim Johnson. How do you feel as a fighter? Not as a fighter because you are a fighter, but going into a massive fight for you because you've got 3 on the bounce. You're on a 3-fight winning streak. Close to Ryan Bader, close to getting that revenge. And I rewatched your fight with Ryan Bader today. And I didn't think he did that much. And I don't like the stoppage. And I said this to Dom before you came on. And I was like, I wasn't impressed that you were stopped that early because I didn't think you were taking shots, but it wasn't that much danger of stoppage.
I know. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's happened now. But obviously, for me, revenge is sweet, man. So I've got unfinished business regardless with that guy. I didn't perform like I usually do in that fight. That's how I feel. But he got the win regardless. But I feel amazing. Heavyweight is my division.
You look at
so long. I was at light heavyweight. I did well. I got 2 title fights. Didn't win them though, but I did well in light heavyweight. But now I found the real weight class that I should be at. And 3 big wins, get this 4th win. I'm not looking past him, but confident I'm gonna beat him. And then looking for that world title next. But Tim's a big strong bear, as he's called, the bear. So I just got to be ready and put this bear down, which I am 100% ready to go.
These lessons, and I learned this from Don, and I'm not going to say losses because they're lessons, aren't they? Now, this is what he's always told me because Don I look to, he's been my idol, so he coached me into these sort of things. And I'm going to go with what Don says. It's lessons. So the lessons you've learned from Ryan Bader and you've learned from the Phil Davis's losses because you're 2 big guys. You've done fantastic. So we're going into against Ronnie Marks. We're looking into these sort of fights that you've had. And Ronnie Marks, everyone's thinking, jiu-jitsu guy. So what's Linton going to do here? You did fantastic. You took us back. Yeah. And you took control. Yeah. And it's the weight you have and those hammer fists. And you just laid it all on him.
Elbows.
Straight up and down.
A lot of heavyweights and fighters don't use. They don't use all their tools. You know what I mean? It's mixed martial arts. Take them down if you can, or ground and pound them. Submission, same as Tyrell Fortune.
That impressed me. I was going to come on to Tyrell Fortune. That impresses me because
everyone was, how are you going to handle him? Well, I'm going to take him down. I'm a grappler too. Just because he's a wrestler doesn't mean I can't grapple with him.
You're from the UK. You're not allowed to do that. Right, I'll give it to one because obviously it is fight week. I won't give you any more than what have you. What would it mean to you beating Tim Johnson this weekend? What in your mindset? What does it bring, and what gives you the future for Linton Vassell?
I mean, it's hard to explain because it's a different feeling when you've put so much into doing what you do, like training every day, move country and sacrifice so much. It's such a weird feeling, but it would. The only way I can say it is it just mean the world. That's the only way you can really explain how good winning and obviously going one step closer to something you've been yearning for. Obviously, I want to be a world champion. That's what I'm doing it for. The money's great, but I want to be a world champion.
Of course.
So yeah, it's an amazing feeling just to know you've put all that time in and you're one step closer to getting it. You're like this close. You're this close. So yeah, that's the best way to explain, the feeling. It's like Christmas.
Good luck on Friday. I will be watching. I'm just knock the fucker out.
That's what I'm going to do.
A warm welcome. This is episode 55 of Powerful.tv. Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stuart Palmer, and my co-host and cousin Chris Hume. And Chris, what a fantastic interview with Linton Vassell, who's going into his 16th bout in Bellator this Friday, isn't he? So yeah, just tell the viewers and listeners who he's up against. He has alluded to it in the video there, but yeah, who's he coming up against? And he's also 10-5 in Bellator. And when you look through his record, Chris, it's pretty solid, isn't it, considering the guys he's been in there with?
Well, before we talk about Tim Johnson, who's fighting on Friday in San Jose in California, and you'll be able to watch that on BBC iPlayer, I think, live, or is it on BBC Three on the actual channels? I think that's come back onto Sky now, hasn't it, BBC Three? Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to watch Linton. He's on the main card, so you'll be able to see him against Tim Johnson. But, we talked about his weight cut to 205. And you're just watching him, speaking to him and looking at him. He's a big guy for 6'4", and having to cut that weight to 205, and how he did it and still managed to get 2 title shots, even though it was killing him to cut that weight. It's incredible. What a brilliant guy to speak to. And it was so open to talk about these things. Tim Johnson, as you want to talk about, Stu, did fight the UFC. He had some couple of good wins. UFC decided not to renew his contract, so found his way into Bellator. He's had some good wins as Tim Johnson. He did face one guy. I think you know the guy. He's pretty big in the heavyweight sort of era of MMA. He's called Fedor. I'm sure you know who that guy is, don't you?
Absolutely.
But he got knocked out by Fedor. But it's just one of them. Fedor is still a legend as much as he's reaching the end of his career. But, watching back and taking notes from Linton's fight since he moved up to heavyweight in Bellator, because he's been a heavyweight before, but this is more so now in Bellator, is he's using the assets of his weight now and his strength, and he feels galvanized. He doesn't have to cut that weight to kill himself to get up to 205. He can eat what he wants. He can be happy that he's not cutting weight, and you see it in his fights. Strong, uses that wrestling, Stuart. Now, you don't see a guy like him taking on Tyrell Fortune, Stuart, who's a collegiate wrestler, like Henry Cejudo, like Gabe Stevenson, who's in the WWE, right? Really talented collegiate wrestler, and he out-grappled him. And as I said to him, UK guys aren't supposed to do that. And he did it. And he did it with finesse, Stuart, and it, again, just shows me and everybody else that UK fighters are different now. We're not standing bangers anymore.
All the best to Linton on Friday evening against Tim Johnson, as Chris said, in the UK. It's on BBC iPlayer or BBC Three. Big platform for them over here. Mm-hmm. Being on there, the reach is huge, isn't it? Being part of
and about time.
America, Chris. Who's the provider in America?
Showtime, won't it be for
Showtime? So obviously, Showtime huge as well. And yeah, what time roughly is he on? Do you reckon?
It's because it's in San Jose, and because I got the times wrong with yesterday. I'm probably not the best guy to ask. I'd imagine it'd be early morning, being San Jose.
It's 8 hours back. So yeah, it'd be like 4 in the morning, won't it?
I'd imagine something
around that time. So yeah, all the best to Linton.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. His camp's out over there. He's in Florida. He's moved over there in the subsequent years, and yeah, it will be his 31st fight, I think. Yeah, 31st fight of his career And as you say, Chris, we'll be looking forward to seeing how Linton gets on and hopefully a W against Tim Johnson, as you say, former UFC. It'd be a tough test, but yeah, hopefully Linton gets through it. And Chris, are we moving on? Sorry.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Dom Maguire as well,
Yes.
who also jumped on the show last night with me. Give me a bit of insight to his life. He's 30 years in the business. He's photographed for UFC, Bellator, bare knuckle fighting, PFL. He's done it all. He knows everybody. He's got a fantastic show as well, which I often share onto our page. Stu will get it back on for a proper interview, but thanks for him to sorting everything out for us for that.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very, very much. We both appreciate it. And yeah, it's given us the avenues now, hopefully with the interviews, isn't it, going forward? Afternoon, lads. Hope you're both well. Let's go. Isaac, hello, mate. He's moved up from Norwich to Sheffield in the past week, so he's a little bit closer now. So yeah, hopefully get to see him soon. But yeah, nice one, Isaac. A bit earlier, mate, today. And Chris, are we going into UFC 273? But we're bypassing the title fights first because,
yes.
Oh my days, Chimaev and Gilbert Burns in a 3-round barn burner. Chris, I did say, didn't I, off camera? I said, imagine it was 5 rounds. You said if it had gone 5, Burns would have been gone. He would have been a goner. But yeah, the 3 rounds, and probably one of the fights of the year so far across both codes, MMA, boxing, amazing. And as you said off camera, he did say he was going to stand. We thought it'll be a lot of wrestling, but my God, going up against Burns, seasoned in the welterweight division now for all the best. What a victory, Chris.
A hard grafting victory for Chimaev. Chimaev, obviously, I think he went in like he would be like his first 3 fights, and he wanted to go straight through Burns. I think he was a bit more shocked how durable Gilbert Burns is, and people need to remember Gilbert Burns has been there with Usman. He's been in there with some of the greats so far at welterweight. So he's seasoned to a point where he knows how to handle people like Chimaev. The only issue is Chimaev is just a steam train that, yes, okay, he got clipped and he got dropped, and he got clipped a fair few times by Gilbert Burns for some monstrous, powerful punches and hooks, overhanded rights, but he still kept going. You've got to look at this as a situation where when Chimaev clipped Burns was backing off and going into the fence. And, Chimaev then was using the combinations and setting him up, but then also got overexcited and overaggressive and got caught himself. These are lessons that these guys are going to learn. People want to see more of Chimaev, didn't they? They wanted to see what he could do with someone much better than him. And they've got it. They have here now. Yes, people might think, well, I don't know if he can beat Usman. I don't know if he can beat Colby Covington. Well, he's a good one for you, Stuart. You saw Burns try and take down Chimaev. Couldn't even get his foot off the ground. Couldn't even move him. Yeah, okay, Colby Covington's a much better wrestler than Burns. But he's not a good striker. He sets things up with his strikes to take you down. Can you, in your mind, think, can Colby Covington easily take down Chimaev? Because I cannot.
Do you think that'll be the next fight? I don't want to.
Dana said, yeah.
I don't want to bump up too far ahead to the next fight because there's a lot going on in this one, especially on the feet. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But yeah, you do see that. And Chris, I think what's helped Chimaev as well, as much as we said he might go to the wrestling a bit more, when we previewed it last week, he had 2 minutes and 23 seconds of control time, 2 takedowns from 3 is 66% on that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the control time helped him, and he wasn't far behind on the striking. All right, Burns edged it on 6 strikes, which is fair enough. I think that control time really did help him as well. We were expecting a bit more wrestling, weren't we? But I think that's just edged him. I think that 223, because that's nearly a round out the 3, isn't it, with control?
I think at the same time, we also alluded to this last week, saying that maybe he want to do a John Jones and stand up to prove a point, and that's what he did. But when he wanted to take Gilbert Burns down, and when he got the double legs, he took them when he wanted to. I don't know what the mentality was. Maybe he didn't want to go to deep waters and see how good Gilbert Burns' jiu-jitsu was against his. Maybe he thought, maybe I don't want to go down that route because he maybe thought he could catch me. Or maybe he just thought, I'm going to bang and I'm going to prove a point. And he did. But, people knocking Chimaev because obviously he got dropped. But people got to also remember, Gilbert Burns dropped Usman in that fight. I had, a very good point until obviously Usman took over that fight and dropped him with a jab. I don't know if he's ready for Usman. I don't know if he's ready for Kobe Covington. But the only these ways we're going to find out is if we put him in there. But these are lessons he's going to learn in the fight. Same as Gilbert will learn a lesson in this fight. And they can only get better from these lessons, fighting against each other, fighting through adversity. I love the fight, Stuart. Didn't see it going the way it was going to go.
Well, it's when I know he put him down, but it was that shot to the temple that he took. I was like, oh my God, it was just like they were gunslinging for so long. And just testament to the resilience of Khamzat, Chris. Going up, we know Burns as well as much with jiu-jitsu, but he can carry himself on the feet. We've seen it time and time again. Just what an advert again. We say this so many times. What an advert for MMA in general and the UFC when you get this. Definitely,
you've got a guy that people are on the hype train, and just as well are on the hype train because Chimaev, so at this point and in this fight, has proved he's worth the push. But at the same time, Gilbert Burns didn't lose much other than losing the fight, but he gained so much from this. The following, I think fans will more tune in for Gilbert Burns fights now than they've ever done before.
Absolutely. Where next for Burns? I love putting that one to you. What would be feasible? What would be feasible at welterweight for him now? Off the back of this, it was close. It was close.
Yeah,
well. Let's be fair to the guy. On the feet, his 6 strikes were a little bit better on the stats.
I think his gas tank let him down because he tried to finish him, didn't he? He caught Chimaev and thought, right, I'm going to try and finish him here, and end the fight, which he didn't. And I think Burns is he's a big stocky. Well, not big, but he's a stocky guy. And it's a lot of output to put up with someone like Chimaev who's going to keep coming, keep throwing punches. So maybe if he had a better gas tank and he wasn't as gassed in the third round, things could be different. Because don't forget, he clipped Chimaev towards the end with some beautiful overhooks, and he was snapping Chimaev's head back. So maybe if he had a bit more in the tank, we could have seen something different. Absolutely. But for regards to Burns, who can you put him against who he hasn't already fought in that division? Maybe we go Burns and Masvidal because they're both coming off losses, and I think that fight would sell really well. But there's not much you can put him in there. Maybe you could give him the winner of Bahal Muhammad and Vicente Luque. They're fighting next weekend. I think it's next weekend, or is it this weekend? I'm not sure. But he's got fights there, but it might be someone he'll have to rematch because he's been through so many people already.
Great litmus test, though, for Khamzat. Absolutely fantastic. Great to see where he's at, and I didn't. It's a scary prospect, and he needed that. He needed that test going into these. This is what will set you up, and we know Usman is of a caliber like no other. But at the end of the day, it's two. It's two guys that can wrestle. But then, would you want to take some of Usman's strikes? Would it have been a different? Would it be different in that respect? I know he's going to be Covington next, but Usman, Usman's a fantastic wrestler in his own right, but also the striking game of Usman, which has become, next level.
He's getting better with it, and he's got a lot of power. I don't know. This is the intriguing situation now because we've seen Khamzat been dropped. We've seen him come through adversity. We've also, don't forget Burns did this to Usman, and Usman came through his adversity with Burns as well. You don't know. The scary prospect here, Stuart, is A, he gets better and learns from it, and when he faces Usman, it's a completely different Khamzat Chimaev. Or B, he crumbles and gets caught and gets KO'd by him. Do you mean? It's intriguing. So I want to see it because I want to see kind of Khamzat Chimaev do what he's done to people to Usman, and can Usman just carry on knocking people out or out wrestling him, out striking him, and remaining the champion? These are the intangibles that we get excited for. It's
such a good prospect, for us because it's open ended, isn't it? Until they get in there, you could throw up so many variables. Absolutely, but yeah, fantastic performance, fantastic from Burns as well in his own right. On another night, he's close. He's closer to getting it, but just I think it was control time was the big thing for Khamzat. I think that edged him. But here we go. Who's this? Kai Coolman.
He's on Twitch. So how you doing, Kai?
Nice one. Someone from Twitch. That's cool. That's cool to see on Big Fight Weekly. And Chris, we're going into a title fight.
Yeah, you remember there was title fights on this
card. I know. It's mad. It's madness. On any other night, that's you're talking about them first, but we had to give the rub to the match of the evening.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Volkanovski obliterates UFC vet Korean Zombie, staking his claim as one of the pound for pound best in MMA. If he wasn't pound for pound best before this fight, that's whatever way you want to shake it. But fantastic, just as we expected, Chris, wasn't it?
It was clean with everything, wasn't he, Volkanovski? Yeah. Everything that everyone thought that Korean Zombie could do. We know Korean Zombie's power puncher. He's very good with his counter punching. Just couldn't get anything off. Volkanovski was on his toes all the way through the fight. But the combinations, and I said to Stuart about Volkanovski's combinations, people think that because of leg kicks, because of what he did to Max Holloway, he's more than that, and he's more than just a grappling. And as you say, Stuart, the rugby side of things where he can use his
honestly. It's footwork and stuff like that. Don't forget. I know you have to. It's different in the sport you're doing, but it serves him well. And the strength and the power and the angles, Chris, he can find. He can find an angle with a strike.
Yes,
and he's ruthless. He's absolutely ruthless in that. And I'm worried to think just how many more people he's going to hammer. And are we going to see Holloway again? But I've jumped in a bit there.
No.
The fight itself, just as we expected, Chris. And no disrespect to Korean Zombie, he's been fantastic.
No, there's no disrespect. The guy signed the contract, and he did. He went toe to toe with Volkanovski. It's just the fact is Volkanovski's becoming one of the best in the world at featherweight, and he's just getting better. And I think you're watching the fight against Korean Zombie. You saw the changes in Volkanovski, the difference in how he approaches fights. He was on his toes, but he's very calculated of what he was throwing. When Korean Zombie was coming in, he was going with a hook, then a right hand jab, but he was catching Korean Zombie time and time again, and it worried me in the fight, Stuart, because I know they stopped the fight in the fourth round. The fight should have been stopped way before that, because Volkanovski was lighting up Zombie and Zombie's taken a lot of knockouts for his career, and he's taken a lot of punches to the head, and it's horrible to see a fighter sort of go out like that, but you don't want to see them get any more damage.
It's the word is like irreparable damage. It's life after the cage, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and he said to Joe Rogan, didn't he, that he needs time to think if he's going to retire or carry on fighting. I think that maybe be a big call for him, that maybe he's going to have to sort of sit and spend time with his family and think about where he wants to go. I don't want to see him taking any more knocks like that, Stuart, because as you say...
Why didn't they just cut it shorter than why let it carry on? Why let it carry on, Chris? Was that on the ref? Do we put that on the ref?
I think the ref did fantastic. They jumped in when they felt it was right, but then it's not just on the ref as well. Your cornerman could call the fight.
Absolutely, yeah.
Going into that after that third round and going into the fourth, that's where if you're his cornerman, you're like no more now. We're stopping the fight. You can't. You want to go out in your shield, and that's fair enough. But you got to think of your health going forward in life, and after your mixed martial arts life and your career's finished, you can't carry on. You need to stop. We need to finish. Stop this fight now. That's what I think they should have done. What is going to happen now, though, off the back of this? Is it Holloway?
I think Holloway for the third time, and then after that, I wonder. Can he go up to 155? This guy, because I think he's gonna steamroll everyone. All right, Holloway might be a bit tighter again. There'll be times where Holloway is in the fight.
Yeah.
But I just wonder where he's going to want to. I think he's got to go up. And don't forget what he was walking around at, the way he was walking around at when he was a rugby player. Because they said on commentary, didn't they? He looked really well. He looks well, even though he's cutting down to 145. But surely it's lightweight. It's got to be lightweight for him, because I think he's a problem. He's a problem in that division as well. I know he's shorter. I get that, but I just think would it not be 155 for him next? No?
Well,
Off the back?
I'm looking at the rankings now. So we've got Calvin Kattar, who's coming off a fantastic win against Gigi Conclazzi. And, and Gigi's up there as well. Don't forget, Stuart. I know he's just lost to Kattar, but he's still a presence in the featherweight division. We've got our own Arnold Allen, who's coming off a spectacular win against Dan Hooker a few weeks ago. We've got Yaya Rodriguez, who had a fantastic fight against Max Holloway back in October.
Yeah.
So he has got fights after Max Holloway. There are people out there. Bryce Mitchell's making a name. He's just broke into the top 10. There are fighters out there, I think, in this division that you can match, Volkanovski with. And I think after he's done that, I think, maybe 155 is an idea to go. Or maybe Stuart Henry Cejudo pulls his finger out his arse because he's always calling out Volkanovski. Yeah. So why not maybe put that on the put that to him.
Tall order for Cejudo.
Kaiser Samori.
So how's your day going? Yeah, all good, Kai. All good, Chris.
So he just started, really, hasn't it? So 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, still got much of the day to go. Cheers, mate.
Anything more to add on this?
No, I think the banner itself says enough, and Volkanovski just seems to be getting better and better. Yeah, we want to see Max Holloway versus him the third time. We'll talk about that when they're matched, and we've got a date, and we're close to the fight when it ever happens, because there's a lot of tangibles there. Is where does Max go after that? Volkanovski could still get someone else, in Arnold Allen maybe if he doesn't match up with Calvin Kattar, or Calvin Kattar could face Volkanovski. Mm-hmm. So there's fights there, but we'll talk a bit more when we see these two matched up, I think, and then give it its just.
Absolutely. And we are going to move on to the co-main event. Chris, now, the talking points are plenty with this, but yes, Aljamain Sterling, the second fight, obviously, after the first. We've spoken about that at length, Chris.
The Oscar-winning performance.
Yeah, we've given that the thing. But yes, Chris, Peter Yan, Sterling beats him. And you're questioning it, aren't you?
Listen, I watched the fight back this morning before I went out, and I still had Petr Yan winning rounds 1, 4, and 5. 1 was very close, yes. I get why people can be a bit like, as you say, they're iffy, and we've seen it time and time again when fights are close, especially a certain round. I had Petr Yan winning round 1, 4, and 5. 4 and 5 most clearly Petr Yan's. 2 and 3 most clearly for Sterling, because he had his back for 2 rounds and controlled Petr Yan. Petr Yan couldn't do anything other than, hold off the rear naked choke that Sterling was trying to, impose himself with. And Sterling did much better. He was more calculated, and he didn't rush him this time. I thought more towards the end of 4-5, he was starting to gas then, because there was a lot of efforts trying to go for these takedowns, wasn't there? He was chasing it because he knew that if he got Petr Yan down, he could control him and win the fight. So I give props to Sterling. Like I said to you, Sterling is a fantastic fighter. I still think Petr Yan is a better fighter. It's just, I feel like, and I said to you this off camera, he was a bit more emotional into this fight, where he was ultra aggressive, where Petr Yan is more calculated, where he takes his time, figures a fight out, and then picks his spots and takes over fights. Where this, I thought like he was a bit more aggressive, and maybe thinking back to the knee from the very first fight, maybe clouded his judgment and how he was executing his game plan. And Sterling took advantage of it, especially in the second and the third round.
It's just so razor close. Again, you could make it. Some people are making, a case for Sterling, but then I'm reading, Petr Yan, Petr Yan, should I say, not Peter. Petr Yan. Yeah, get it right, Stu, for God's sake. I'm always saying about getting pronunciations right and stuff. But yeah, I've heard there's been mixed on it. Can you understand that? Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah, I think for people, I'd forget rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 and just sit and watch round 1, because that's the round, obviously, we're going off that get what the judges give Sterling the victory. And obviously where I'm looking at, and Dana's come out and said the same, that he had Yan winning rounds 1, 4 and 5. But it's hard, isn't it? Because these judges, they can be frustrating.
I've got the scores here, Chris. Sorry to jump in, but I've got the three judges' score, how they scored it. So, yeah, Saldi Amato, obviously, been with the promotion for years, doing the judging. He had Sterling for the first three, 1, 2, and 3. And he had Pete Yan for 4 and 5. Chris Lee, second judge. He had Yan first round, Sterling second and third.
Yeah.
And fourth and fifth to Yan. And then Lisa Rodriguez, he had it Sterling 10 for the first three. And then it was Yan for 4 and 5. So, yeah, 48-47 for Sterling from Rodriguez. Chris Lee had it Yan 48-47 and Saldi Amato 48-47 for Sterling. So,
yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because some fights are so close that it is really razor thin, isn't it? On things you're picking up to give the fighter that round. These two will meet again, Stuart. There will definitely be a third trilogy fight between these two. I don't see anyone else beating Putian below him anyway. I think Putian will win every other fight and get back to Sterling. I feel like, TJ Dillashaw and Sterling will have to obviously have their fight. And I think Putian could probably...
They got media scores on this page as well.
Oh, right, okay.
And the majority going for Sterling. Drake Riggs of MMA Mania 48-45 Sterling, bit wide. But then there's a couple who've got Yan, but for the most part it's Sterling. But then some others have had it 47-47.
A draw.
There's quite a lot on here. There's like five media outlets. The guys that are obviously writing for those media outlets have got it 5 of the draw. But yeah, Sterling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 for Sterling, 2 for Yan, and 5 for the draw.
That's quite overstanding for.
Yeah.
But I think it's your own opinion, isn't it? It's one of them where you feel that way, and I'm sure Putian feels like that he won the fight, and Sterling obviously feels like he won the fight.
Kai's in Australia, then, isn't he? I reckon. I think he's in Australia somewhere. Let us know where you're actually from, because I think 10 o'clock would be Australian time.
They'll be getting nice weather over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis, all right, Lewis. How did you find UFC 273, man? What did you enjoy? Give us some comments, Lewis. Come on, lad. You're here every week.
He popped on a comment yesterday. I obviously there's so much going on the show yesterday with Linton and Don that I didn't get round to everybody's comments or really sort of read them out. So
we're a community. We're a community on this show. It's not just me and Chris. So we'll hit it home until the cows come home. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Chris, anything more on that?
I think we covered most of it. I think this is going to be something. It's not going away, is it? I feel like we'll see these two dance again.
I think it needs it. It was tight. It was tight, man. But yeah, Sterling comes through it. He's still champion, and we look to see in the subsequent months what's going to take place with that one. Are we going to see the third fight? I hope so. Chris, we're moving on. Yes, we are. Gary. It is Mr. Gary, a man highly touted by Chris. Chris has watched him through the Cage Warriors as well. But a tough one in his second outing. You did say this before, didn't you? You did say about Darian Weeks. It would be, he'd get the rounds in, and he comes through it. He comes through it again. Prodigious. And he's got a lot of talent. You can see that. And Chris, what did you feel? How did you feel with Ian Gary's performance?
I think it was an okay performance. He did what he had to do. He can't knock out every fighter. You can't submit every fighter. And some fighters make you work harder than you really want to. You want to be a bit flashy, don't you, and make a statement. And I'm sure he wanted to make another statement and knock out Darian Weeks. But Darian Weeks, as I said to you last week, because he's very durable. He's taken some heavy punches and kept coming. And he did keep coming. He had to, Ian Gary had to sort of make some sort of spots where he could come in and attack Darian Weeks. But Darian Weeks was pressurizing him, putting him up against the cage, trying to clinch him to take him down. And fair dues to Ian Gary that he blocked and snuffed the takedowns. When he got himself flowing and he could see his movement and his leg kicks are so flashy that you don't see them come in. They flick up very quickly. Very Donald Cerrone-esque, where when he used to knock people out of head kicks, he didn't set them up, he just threw them. And Ian Gary's very much that way. But, it's one of them. He clicked, didn't he, Darian Weeks? He set him rolling a bit. But it's one of those sort of fighters that just don't go away. And you just sort of have to sort of pick your poison and think, right, okay, it's going to be a points victory. I just make myself look good in the performance. I mean, as we move on, Ian Gary will get better. Don't forget, he's still young. He's still learning. And, you know, as Linton said, he's a good guy. He's talented. They all see him as the future. And he's at Sanford MMA with Linton, with Gilbert Burns. So he's got a very vast amount of people he can learn from. And this will just be a learning curve for him. And, you know, we'll see him do things spectacular again. I believe that.
Absolutely. It's just, who next, Chris? Let's throw some names in there.
Well, you see, it's hard because I'd have to see where he is in the rankings, Stuart. But then, you know, rankings never really make sense anymore, do they, to be fair?
Does he have all the tools in your mind?
Oh, yeah, I most definitely think he does. I think it's just a case of putting them together, you know, and, you know, people always will put the tangible of, well, is he like the next Conor McGregor or blah, blah, blah. And no, he's not. He's completely different to Conor McGregor. He's nothing like Conor McGregor. And in the skill set where he's different, he's a lot taller. He's more rangier. He's a bit more different with his footwork than Conor McGregor was. And, you know, he's got the tools, Stuart. And as I said, he's at the right gym in South Florida with Sanford that he can pick the brains of everybody there. You'll see him in the future. I know it's not a pun there, Stuart, because I know he's called the future Ian Gary. But you'll see going forward that once he puts things together, he's going to be a very difficult opponent for everybody in that division. But I can't really pinpoint where he'd go. Maybe someone else in and around him below the top 10. You may be looking top 20, maybe. And then maybe after this third fight, we can see him in the top 15 and so on. Let's not rush the guy. Let's let him get his minutes, get his understanding of who and how he wants to be in the octagon or a cage. Just, you know, let's enjoy his slow walk to the top 10 instead of, you know, rushing him there.
Absolutely, yeah. The fantastic prospect, there's no question about that. But yeah, just let's see, you know, tougher test coming up. But that was a test on the weekend as well for him, and he's come through it. And yeah, we look forward to seeing more Ian Gary in 2022. Chris, anything more to add on UFC 273?
Again, another standout card. I know we've not mentioned every fight on the card, but the fights on the card were fantastic. Again, every fighter brought it. It wasn't really, there was no boring fights. You know, obviously you could have mentioned Chimaev and Burns, but the Tisha Torres fight was great against Mackenzie Dern. Rosenstrike against Tubara. There were some really good fights, and again, the card was solid. Enjoyed it. We move on to the next one, but I'm assuming we're going to have to cover that next week because we have said a lot to impact today as well as yesterday. But yeah, I'm loving it, Stuart. Every fight, I'm excited for that because there hasn't been a boring fight and a boring card. It's been really, you know, constant.
Absolutely. Are we switching?
We are.
Here we go. He's back in. The Kazakhstani native is Gennady Golovkin. Unbelievable, Chris. Your future ballot Hall of Famer in boxing. What he's done, and yeah, not been fighting with the regularity. If you look through, you know, he's fought his scheduling, but COVID was obviously a factor. But he was back in. He turned 40 on Friday. I'm hearing some absolute crap, some rubbish. He's over the hill and all that. He's still got the credentials, and you know, Canelo, it could happen again, but obviously Canelo is going up to light heavyweight to fight Dimitri Bivol very, very soon. But yeah, a fantastic performance, Chris. Some people are saying he was slow out the blocks, but you know, he likes to figure people out. And Murata, you know, amateur pedigree, Olympics, he's won Olympic gold in London as well. He's had a good career, Murata, but you know, Gennady went into Japan to fight him, and it was a good outing for him. And it's the shots, it's the shot selection, and it's just the power that he possesses. And you know, he's got all the belts. He lost the belts obviously in 2018 to Canelo, but yeah, fantastic performance all in all. And he gets a stoppage after 9 rounds.
And no easy feat, because as you say, that he hasn't been fighting for it. What, it's 18 months now? Yeah, this is his first fight in 18 months.
A long time.
Yeah, there is a very long time for the guy. You know, I mean, and he's traveling to Japan, which is, you know, time differences and all that sort of difference. You know, he's still a legend. Is a Golovkin. I still watch his fights, and I obviously haven't got around to watching this one, but he's still a class act, Stuart. And I said to you off camera, 40 is the new 30 in boxing now, mate. You don't need to worry about hitting 40 and slowing down. These guys are athletes. They've been at it the whole life. If they're not getting knocked out every fight, then why not carry on? And why not go for the Canelo fight? Get that one back. As you said, you thought he won the first fight, so I'm assuming he probably believes the same. So why not? Once Canelo's finished his work at light heavyweight or lightweight or light heavyweight, Stuart, and then let's put these back together.
There's still fights. There's still fights to be made for him here as well. Like, however long Canelo's out of it, we've got Charlo, we've got Andrade, who we know of very well. Munguia is in there as well. This is Ring. That's obviously, if you go, I just want to have a scan through. Yeah, Andrade. There's so many. Eubank Jr. could possibly. You know what I mean? Because we're going to be waiting for Canelo, so they can get the fights made. I think Andrade would be a fantastic fight for him, and
Charlo would be a good fight for him as well.
And Eubank Jr. For us as well. It's a big test for Eubank Jr. A lot of people are saying he's still not that quite there, but until he's put in there with him, how do you know?
Never know. Yeah, you don't. That's it. You don't know, do you? It could rise to the occasion and blow everyone out the water with it. As you say, with Canelo is people. I know you're saying he's fighting Bivol next. He might not be done after that. He might want to go for a couple of more knocks up at light heavyweight, and why not? He deserves to do what he wants to do. And Golovkin, he's got 2 losses to him, so he's having to chase Canelo than Canelo chasing him. So it's all in Canelo's sort of court, really, isn't it? And I can't see Canelo doing one fight at light heavyweight and then dropping back down. It's a lot of weight to put on, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's up there. He's up there to take on a few people, isn't he? But yeah, I think with Golovkin, as I've said, the aforementioned people. At the end of the day, there's fights in there for him. Everyone wants the marquee name. That first fight, the draw, I had Golovkin beating him. The second, you can make a case again for Golovkin, but Canelo has gone on to bigger weights, hasn't he? And he's done fantastic. But yeah, great to have Golovkin back, Chris. It's a pound for pound boxer at the end of the day in world terms, and a fantastic performance. Murata just not good enough on the night, but he got some shots away. But that's Golovkin. He'll allow a bit of pressure on himself. He'll allow fighters to have a go. And fantastic performance. And we look forward to seeing what happens with Gennady Triple G in the coming months.
We're moving on to Conor Benn.
Wait, here we go. Yes, Conor Benn back in action this weekend against Van Heerden. Chris Van Heerden has been out of action for some time. He's not been very active. It's a bit like Conor fought Chris Algieri at the back end of last year, didn't he? Algieri hadn't had a fight. He'd done a lot of punditry and he was training people. But yeah, people are still saying, well, Conor needs the bigger tests. But they're just bringing him through slowly, aren't they, with the guys? But he fought 3 times last year. He beat Vargas. I'm trying to think of the middle guy in between Algieri, Granados as well. They were tests for him. He's come through. He's powerful. He's got the power. I still maintain he's going to be a world champion, this lad. And I know welterweight is stacked, but I think he's a problem. But I think they're just stepping him up gradually rather than throwing him in. But sometimes I think just get him in there. But they're finding opponents for him. But yeah, this will be Manchester. We'll see a fantastic performance from this lad, and I'm saying a stoppage.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Van Heerden, 30 fights, 2 losses, but not been very active at all. So it's another litmus test of getting him up there. But I mean, he's been on the world level fighters prior to this, but I just feel there's only one outcome at the AO Arena this weekend.
But you can only fight who's in front of you, and it is what it is. And as you say, this is kind of Ben getting minutes in the boxing ring. Still homing his craft, and why not? Yeah, okay. People are going to kick off and say, "Well, you should be fighting A or B." What's the rush? What is the rush? Let him get his minutes in, and then let him show the world when he gets to the point where they are the big boys, and let him have his time then. I don't think why people need to rush fighters in either sport, really. Why be rushing them into big fights and then say they lose and then you see a massive decline because they were rushed too quickly? Let's enjoy seeing these fighters.
Eddie Hearn, I've been reading about Eddie Hearn. Like he's getting him. There's names like Maurice Hooker, Robert Guerrero. Long time, champion boxer in there as well, and Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, highly touted for years. He's had a few losses, but he's gone through the weights, Broner. So they're not even looking at the likes of your Errol Spencers yet. You know, that's another. So Hearn, I think, just wants him to get maybe another 3 or 4 fights in after this one, and then it's world attempts. You know, I just can't see Amir Khan coming back for a domestic one. I don't think we're going to see him again after what Kell Brook did. Kell Brook's obviously going up, isn't he? As well, he's not staying at welterweight. You know, there was some good domestic ones for him, really, but you know, Khan will get obliterated. He can't take the power, can he? We saw that. The power, it was just too much for him. But yeah, I look forward to. I like Conor Benn. And it's not just the power, Chris. It's not just the power.
Listen, he's a very talented lad. And as you're saying, Eddie Hearn giving him some names before he reaches the pinnacle of the welterweight division is take your time, pick some wins, isn't it?
Kell Brook and his camp had outpriced themselves to fight Conor Benn. Apparently, this is what I'm reading online. So that was just it. There wasn't enough money in it for Kell Brook. But you know, he's a former world champion, isn't he? So he's going to command the price. But yeah, we look forward to Saturday night. It'll be good. Be another good fight on the zone with Matt True.
We're moving on to Errol Spence. Am I taking it? Isn't it against Ugas?
Yes, another welterweight clash for the world honours. Your Dennis Ugas. So as you can see, world welterweight championships unified. There's 3 belts on the line on the night, and looking forward to this one, Chris. Errol Spence Jr., an absolutely fantastic talent, But Ugas, it'll be a tricky one. Ugas obviously beat Pacquiao. He put Pacquiao into retirement as well. You know, the state of Pacquiao's face, Chris, after that one as well. My word.
Pacquiao, another legend in the business, someone I think went on a bit too long, maybe. What's your thoughts? Did he go on too long?
I think so. I think it's just it's the pride, though, isn't it? It's the pride, and you look how many fights he's had. But Ugas, the younger guy, it's just and it's a big one. It's at AT&T. It's in Arlington. This one. So it's huge. We've just had WrestleMania. There. Another big night. They use Dallas a lot. They use the Dallas Cowboys Stadium a lot for boxing. And looking forward to it, Chris. But I think Errol Spence will have all the class in the world in this one. I just can't.
Crawford next for Errol Spence then.
I think they've got to make it sooner rather than later, Chris. This has been rolling on for years. I know we've alluded to it over the last year or so with Errol Spence. He was in a bad car crash that took some time away from his career. Thankfully, he's got back and he's back boxing. And they've got to make it, Chris. That's a fight in world terms across the weights. That's one everyone wants to see.
And it needs to be done. But against it, you have to have your doubts of how boxing promoters get these fights together. It's not simple, is it? And as much as you fans want to see it, it just seems like you're hitting a wall with these sort of fights getting put together.
Terence Crawford does want the winner of this, or Jamal's twin. He's his twin. Sorry, his brother. He's got Brian Castano next as well. So there's a couple of fights there possibly for Terence Crawford. He has said obviously Spence Jr. and Ugas, but then we got Charlo and Castano, Chris, as well as a possible. So
who's more likely though?
I think they might go for the secondary one there, so he gets in again, and then saying that Crawford does come through it's going to be Errol Spence next if he gets through Ugas, But I think I think we're all going to go for Errol Spence Jr., Chris.
Yeah, most definitely. Class fighter.
Absolutely. So, fantastic. We look forward to it. Big weekend of boxing. Fantastic domestic and then world as well. So, big night. Chris, are we going to segue into anything else? Is there anything else to add?
No, I've had a too busy day, Stuart. I don't know if I've got anything left to talk, unless you want to talk about Anthony Gordon's little trickery against Man United. and Norwich doing the business for us yesterday.
How can you go from the depths of despair on Wednesday, panic mode that and we're still in a battle. There's no question about that. We've got to beat Leicester a week on Wednesday. They have to win it. But it was depths of despair Wednesday night. And then by the Saturday, Sunday, the whole ethos, the whole mindset of the fan base has totally changed.
And
we're a fickle bunch. But soccer fans.
It's a lot of highs and lows, isn't it? Especially supporting Everton, and especially this season, where you can go and beat Man United. And yes, they aren't exactly the best at the moment themselves, but they've got better players than us, and our players are quite fragile. But to have that sort of performance and do what we did, and then you looked against Burnley, and you look what Norwich done to Burnley, and yes, I know our away record is dog awful. It's frustrating, isn't it? Because the same players go on the pitch a few days later and turn up a different sort of game.
It's the nature of the league. I was saying this to Smudge in work. It's just you do not know. You can't call it sometimes because it's just how it is. It's just how the league is. You would think when you're right, Burnley are going to go on, at least get a draw, maybe win it, and then Norwich flipped the script. It's a big win for them. It was probably better for us that they won rather than it being a draw, Chris.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, isn't it? And it's crazy to think, that Burnley go and beat us and then go lose to Norwich, and but as you say, it's football, isn't it?
It's that league. You can't call it sometimes because it'll throw up anything. One of those bottom clubs can then beat someone at the higher. It can be beaten. Bigger teams do struggle sometimes against mid-table relegation side where they set up. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, fantastic. It's given us a bit of belief again, I think.
Well,
and it put the gap back to where it was. So yeah, they've got it. 4 at home, 4 away now, Chris. So those 4 home games are crucial, aren't they? But we have got Leicester. Massive. We got Leicester twice, haven't we, because of the rescheduling.
No game this weekend, yeah.
No, I think Lampard's happy about that. I heard he was giving them a couple of days off now because we've got that gap. Me personally, I would have put another game in just because of that game. So we've got to play in a short space of time.
But I suppose it's the way it is with all the setbacks we had in December, isn't it? So
commitment. It was the commitment on the pitch as well. Like Iwobi distance covered. He was the highest. And
which is madness to think, isn't it? Really?
Match of the day highlighted it as well. Ian Wright was like, he's obviously got the Arsenal link with him, hasn't he? Then he said Iwobi is pitch coverage and desire, and Lampard has improved him because he's put him in like the number 10, hasn't he?
Yeah, stuck in the midfield 3. Delph was something I wouldn't again believe I'd say that we needed him yesterday.
When the manager's a midfielder, when he's in that central area, he knows it, that's the difference, I think, because that was his position as a player.
Oh yeah,
that Lampard, they're going to listen, aren't they? But Mikolenko as well, Chris. Considering everything that's going on back home for him in Ukraine. He's getting better at the games. He's had a lot of consistent football, hasn't he? So fingers crossed. Mate.
We'll see.
Yeah. We're not jumping the gun by any stretch. Anything could happen between now and Wednesday, and then following on. But yeah, it was nice to have a little bit of positivity
for once. Yes,
absolutely. And Chris, are we ready to close out?
We are ready to close out, mate. What day are we back next week?
I presume. I think it's going to be
Monday again.
It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week.
Oh, well, we'll be one of them. You guys will get told. You'll know what schedule.
Absolutely. I'm not off on a Monday, which is weird, but it is birthday week next week.
Yes, it is.
So we will see you next week. Not sure on what day yet, but it will be episode 56. And Chris, absolutely fantastic with Linton Vassell.
Thank you.
Interview yesterday, and obviously we had Don McGuire as well, who's been in and around MMA, doing photography and all sorts of stuff as well. So I implore you, viewers, listeners, to go back and watch or listen to Chris's interview with Linton Vassell. Linton Vassell is in action on Friday, early hours, isn't it? Going into Saturday, Chris, for us here in the UK. And fantastic interview. We've got all the links. We've got all the links for that
down below.
Absolutely brilliant. But please watch that because it was fantastic. 2 for the price of 1, Chris.
It was, yeah.
Absolutely.
I should have called that. That's the title for this one, actually. Maybe next time. All right, okay. Yeah. And thank you very much for watching us, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.